Thor. You should have called yourself the Thor Rogan Experience, and then we could have gone for 4 or 5 hours.
Thor Rogan Experience. I like it.
Maybe next time. And I just wanted to say, again, thanks to everyone who's here. I'm not going to introduce everybody. I think it's just best if we kind of go around the table, if you will, and maybe starting with you, Diego, since you're here. Maybe tell us a little bit about who you are, your project, and anything else you want to say to introduce yourself.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, if you would.
Yes, of course. Well, I'm Diego Torres. I'm from Argentina, and I've been a crypto enthusiast since 2017. I've been through the whole process of buying Bitcoin, then some shitcoins, leave the bull run, and then the bear market. And well, then I started to study a lot about crypto. I started learning about Bitcoin first, then Ethereum, and well, now I'm in Cardano, and I'm trying to understand the whole ecosystem, DeFi, NFTs, and other initiatives that are just starting. So, well, I'm happy to be here. I'm very bullish on DAOs. I think this new way of coordinating capital and talent are more scalable than current incorporating company or corporates. So, well, I'm pretty happy to be here talking about this.
Welcome. And let's move over to King Dave. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here. My name's Dave, or King Dave, from the Derp project. If you don't know about Derp, we're sort of a gamified NFT collecting experience with a lot of focus on community and technology. It seems like everyone sort of conflates Derp and multisig. Like we oftentimes get pinged in those types of conversations, but again, Derp is really just strives to be this fun experience for collecting NFTs. We have this awesome achievement system. We have this really story-driven roadmap, and at each step of the way in the roadmap, we've tried our best to create this fun gamified experience for collecting those NFTs. For today, I should say I'm not an expert on DAOs, so I've got a few questions of my own, but I'm looking forward to hearing from those of you on the call who are. Thanks for having me on, Thor. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, happy to be here. You're the only one who's now been on 2. You and Hops, the only 2 that have been on 2 roundtables. All right, welcome. And then we have the Ape Society, Cardman and Ponzerati. Probably pronouncing that wrong. You want to give a quick introduction, guys?
Sure. I'm Cardman. I'm one of the founders of Ape Society. Congo is also here. That's Ponzerati on here. We're a pretty complex project. We have a few different things going on. On one side, we have our DAO, which I guess we're here to talk about. And then on the other side, we have kind of the society aspect that we're building. So we have things like, we have our roadmap that we released the other day, where we're going to be releasing a token, and we have tons of new art and 3D art and crazy stuff coming out that we're really excited for. And, we're just really happy to be here. We're really happy to help grow this NFT space. And we're trying to do that together with our community. So we're pretty excited.
Awesome. Yeah, happy to have you guys here. Then we had a couple of late additions jump in here. But then we also have ADAO in here. That's TCT and anybody else from ADAO in here want to say hi?
So I hear Adam Rush, whose handle is Neo Cornelius, is having a little trouble finding us. But I noticed him, as well as Sims. They're both core contributors to ADAO. Quasar as well has been contributing to ADAO for quite a few months now. So I noticed Quasar, Sims, and Neo Cornelius have all joined the server, but are having trouble finding
I think Neo Cornelius found us. Welcome.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
So yeah.
Sorry about that. I was installing Twitch and didn't realize that's what other people are using.
Yeah. Well, glad that you found us.
Yeah, it took me a while. I'll introduce myself. My name's Tom, or TCT. I have been a core contributor to ADAO, I guess, since day one now. And we are a DAO, and we focus primarily on developing open source tools for people to easily create and manage DAOs on Cardano. We noticed a few months ago, last year, after smart contracts were implemented, that there was nobody doing this. There were no, tools or software stacks or interfaces that had been developed, and we weren't able to find anybody who had started developing these. So we got together and started doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, everyone.
Happy to have you guys here.
Hey everyone, I'm Adam. I've been in ADAO since day 2. So basically, I got into poking around Cardano Twitter and came across Tom and a few other guys talking about the idea of DAOs and being able to build them on Cardano. And I was absolutely just in love with the idea of having decentralized organizations and how can we collaborate in a way that it has a flatter hierarchy, allows for more freedom to, work with the people we want to work with and be able to not have to have that top-down structure where one person, is just getting an assignment and you don't have the freedom to go to your, whoever you need to get stuff done, and just sort of let some emergent structure come about. So I started working with them, and so I've been working a lot on just sort of like diving into the philosophical side of DAOs and, how can we use this within ADAO to inform our own structure as well as help other people understand what we're doing.
Yeah, very cool. Welcome. There nobody else from ADAO in here. I'm kind of losing track. Getting a big group in here. Don't think so. If so, let me know. But then we have Secret Goat Society, Hobbs JW, and George.
Yep. And we got Graphics here as well. He's our lead engineer on operations and all that kind of stuff. So he pretty much runs most of the show in terms of announcement. Hobbs, I'll have a quick go first, Hobbs, and then I'll let you take on after that. So my name is George. I'm probably one of 5 founders of the Goat Society, and it's the Secret Goat Society, by the way, the not so secret Goat Society. Let's be clear on that. And our intention was really we took it a little bit more from a business side in the whole investment angle and investment club for all the goats, and the DAO side. I noticed this will be one of the questions. The DAO side will be developing as the whole environment develops. But our intention is to go down that path and to use the best technologies. And there's a lot of us out there. Yeah, we're in this space to bring attention to the goats, obviously, because everyone else is doing every other project. So we thought we've got something good, and we want the best for the goats as well. And so that's why we're here to develop something magic as well from our side. We started with a multi-sig minting process, something developed fresh scratchly, and we're taking it from there on to the next steps as we need to develop this club/DAO going forward.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'm Hobbs. If you guys don't know me, I've been in Cardano prior to Merry Hard Fork, so I've been in here before CNFTs were a thing. Before that, I used to mine ETH. I built a pretty large mining machine during crypto winter and had a lot of fun. So I've got a lot of experience in cryptocurrencies from crypto winter, and then got into CNFTs, starting with CBits, and then fell in love with the goat tribe. I think everybody probably knows that. So when they came up with the idea of Secret Goat Society, they reached out to me. The team was super solid, super strong. You had developers, Discord, people that knew the market. So I hopped on and definitely helped consult and do marketing. So very excited about it. Excited about the CNFT space. From my perspective, the most exciting thing is seeing people put effort into investing into CNFTs and into this community. I think DAOs or investment clubs are going to take that to the next level by maybe focusing that money a little bit better, not on just everything that comes out, but on the strong communities, on the projects that have a shot to really make it long term, in my opinion.
All right. Did you want to make an introduction? Because we also had graphics on here.
Yeah, graphics.
Graphics is in and out at the moment, but he'll join in.
No worries. Exactly. Then I wanted to say hi to Degen Travis. Welcome.
Oh, hey, I'm Degen Travis. I'm a nobody here, but I guess I have a YouTube channel and a Twitter now. I'm here to ask basic questions because I get what DAOs do. I don't understand benefits of a lot of things you could do with DAOs. And I got into crypto about a year and a half ago. I was strictly into crypto, and I thought NFTs were stupid and waste of money. So I didn't mint Space Buds. And we just talked about that. And then a day after Space Buds, I completely FOMO'd, bought some, got into Cardano bits, and then I got laid off that same week. So I've just spent this whole year, 12 hours a day into the Cardano NFT ecosystem. And I'm excited to be here. This is fun. I'm going to be my most professional self today. I promise.
Yeah, Degen, I gave Travis a little bit of a devil's advocate role here because I wanted to get different perspectives. He's been asking a lot of good questions. So yeah, happy to have you here, Travis. Okay, who am I forgetting? I don't think.
Oh, I wouldn't limit him to just ADAO. But I see Quasar's here, who has been a pretty active contributor to not only ADAO. Oh, there he goes. Oh, there
he is. Yeah.
I'd like to hear an introduction from him.
Welcome, Quasar. Can you hear us?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. From him.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to be here. I've got answers and questions. I'm coming in late, so catch me up to speed. What are we doing here?
Well, for right now, we just mainly want to know, I guess, who you are and why you're here.
Well, I am a butterfly, and I kind of just show up wherever I can, wherever things are happening. My name is Quasar in real life. I wish, but actually. That's my Discord handle. I've been in Project Catalyst since Fund 1. I got into Cardano from the Shelley Summit and watching Atala Prism. So digital identity is a big thing for me. That's what got me started in the space. In Cardano specifically, my background in crypto dates back to 2017, the beginning of 2017. Professionally, Web2 world, I sell insurance. I'm a risk manager. So I just started Googling blockchain and insurance or smart contract and insurance. And lo and behold, stumbled across ETHRisk. At the time, they were doing some parametric-based flight delay insurance with crypto, with Ethereum, which the gas fees were so... the gas fees were higher than the plane ticket anyway back then. They still are. And one of the guys that was part of ETHRisk was Hugh, who started Nexus Mutual. So been working with him a bit. just watching Cardano through Catalyst come into play and really loving the social media engagements across the board from all the platforms, from Twitter to Twitch to one day we got to face up and go to Facebook as well. But I'm here for Twitch right now.
Yeah, I honestly haven't been on Facebook ever since I got into CNFTs personally. But all right, well, welcome everyone. If I forgot everybody, because it is, you're right, Chad. It's a pretty big roundtable. So I'm really excited to have all of you here. We're gonna keep it hopefully somewhat educational and try to have it casual and fun at the same time. But yeah, I want to jump right into it and maybe ask this question, pose this question to you. Oh, did I forget somebody?
Oh yeah, you forgot Acronym DAO.
Oh, okay. I was wondering who you were, to be honest.
Sorry about that. I thought we were gonna go on Twitch. But hi, I represent Acronym DAO. I'm stock picker. I'm currently 17. I go to school in Hawaii. And we are, an Acronym DAO is mainly focused on more of DeFi and collateralized lending. I'll keep it short, but yeah, that's practically a gist of what Acronym DAO is and what we're really striving to do in like the next few weeks, months.
Okay, yeah, welcome. Yeah, I didn't know your Discord handle, so I wasn't sure if you were from Acronym or not. But yeah, glad you found us eventually, at least. But yeah, now I'm gonna jump into it because just from the last roundtable, like 2 hours went by like that, and I know some of you can't even stay that long. So let's just jump right into it. What is a DAO? The most basic question, I guess, that I feel like some people struggle answering still. TCT, would you mind tackling that question?
Ooh, yeah, I can try. Yeah, so very high level, a DAO is an organization that's robust and works towards being decentralized. That's the one line answer. I mean, from there,
love it.
You know, it's really hard to talk generally about all the different DAOs, right? We have protocol DAOs, investment DAOs, public goods DAOs. But yeah, that's a good line definition.
That's a very, very short and sweet definition. I like that. But I guess the reason why I'm asking is because I do think there are some misconceptions about what a DAO is. And I can post that to anybody who wants to answer. But you know, what are some of the misconceptions? You know, the average Joe enters the CNFT space, they see RatsDAO, even secret Goat Society, and they think this is a DAO. But DAOs can come in, they can have different, you know, yeah, they can come in all shapes and sizes. So what are some of those misconceptions that you guys are noticing about DAOs?
Okay, actually, a DAO is a lot more broad than we can imagine. So actually, like the first form of DAOs came in the form of, you know, grandmas playing poker and like a bunch of like grandmas pulling in their money. That was like, I don't know, something in the 1900s. That's when it like first started. But DAOs, and then, but currently Web3 has allowed for a DAO comeback since now there's improvements in technology, so we can somehow track whether the money is using appropriately or, you know, being rugged or not. So, but like DAOs have been since like the 1900s when like old ladies used to all pull together their money to choose one or two stocks and invest it.
I'd look at it from a legal standpoint, especially when it comes into investing. That's why we didn't call it a DAO. We can go over that later, but from a legal standpoint, and at least in the States, what's qualified as a DAO is it has to be completely decentral, autonomized organization, which means there, I think maybe there could be some key holders to the wallet that help do transactions, but I would be, investment clubs, all those things, you have to make sure legally you're fitting the guidelines of what you're calling yourself. So I think, I'd be very careful on the definition of DAO. If you're taking people's money to invest it, you need to make sure, that you're doing what you're selling, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, I love where you're going with that, and I'll just add. I just sort of wanted to add to that and say, that decentralized and autonomous part that speaks to an issue of who is like the agent of the organization. So when you have an organization, you often will have, with a centralized organization, a lot of times they'll pick a CEO. The CEO becomes the primary agent of the organization. They are the ones who make the decisions. They are the ones who get to have a say on how things work from the top down, and they can appoint agents underneath them to carry out various aspects. But with a DAO, the agent is the organization, right? The agency is decentralized. All the participants together have to make that choice, and they have to arrive at consensus. And so there can't be, if there's ever a DAO that has a single person who is able to make the choice, then it's not a DAO, because that's not decentralized. The agency then resides with one person. It's a different kind of organization.
Yeah, I think, those are like, it's a really important topic, and I actually want to dive into it a little bit later, because you've touched on a lot of questions that I want to get to. But to back up a little bit, can we, unless somebody wants to jump in?
Yes, I want to stress that DAOs comes from the concept of a smart contract, actually. And a smart contract, it was coined by Nick Szabo. And he told that smart contracts are software that runs on a decentralized platform. So I think from a technical point of view, a DAO is a set of smart contract that allows to make decisions and to deliver some service or some activities that do not rely in a specific or centralized party, but on the contrary, on rules that are enforced by the consensus protocol. But that's the technical, or maybe the first DAO. Did you know that the first DAO was the DAO that was that set of a smart contract that actually had a bug and provoked the first continuous hard fork on Ethereum. And I think, of course, DAOs are a concept that is in a pretty early stage, and it is evolving pretty fast. But we shouldn't forget that smart contracts are a key component of DAO, even though there are DAOs that relies only on layer 0, like some organizations that are really decentralized. But a smart contract enforce that decentralization when they are deployed in a real blockchain.
Yep.
I'm gonna just quickly. I really like what Diego said, but I think in my answer to your question of what is the misconception about the DAO, I think that pretty much answers it. That at this stage you do need a hierarchy to run that DAO, and people think that it's all decentralized completely. There's nothing to do except sit back and just watch it do itself. That's wrong. And I think the long-term aim of a DAO is to get to that point where that membership can move around and change around, and that hierarchy can easily change around, and no one's in fully charged, but someone is, if you kind of get where I'm going with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to dive a little bit more into kind of, the structure of the DAO and I guess governance a little bit later. But yeah, to take a little bit of a step back, why are people excited about DAOs? Like, why are you excited about DAOs? What are some of the potential benefits of DAOs, and some of the use cases on Cardano in particular? Anybody can tackle that question.
The way I see it, you can go ahead.
No, go for it.
Okay. The way I see it is DAOs kind of have the ability to expand the capabilities of a team or of a project or whatever it is. Say you have like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people working under a single umbrella, the singular goal, trying to support each other. There's so much that can be done there. So, the previous people were talking about, how there can be an investment DAO and how, there needs to be a smart contract, stuff like that. And things like that are important as the DAO grows. But, there could be 20 different things in a DAO going on at the same time. And like people can be elected to certain positions within the DAO. So not every single decision has to be run by all the people. So if for example, the DAO decides we want to plan a trip to Disneyland, right? So somebody in the DAO could be appointed, or a few people in the DAO could be appointed. These people are going to be the people that organize the trip, because you can't have 2,000 people booking the tickets. And you can have, you have few people running this part of the organization for everybody else. And, Disneyland is a simple example, but you could have people doing crazy stuff, like, building a different DeFi protocol. You could have people creating a game, which is something that is actually going on on our Discord. And you could have people, like creating validators. You could have people creating stake pools. So many different things that you could have going on at the same time. And I really think the sky is the limit.
Anybody?
Quick question.
Anybody else?
Oh, I just want to ask a question based off Cardman's description. There is, and I did preface during my intro, like I'm not an expert on DAO, so I really want to learn from this as well. As how is that different from what you've described? You're appointing individuals to maybe build the game or to set up the stake pool or whatever. How does that aspect differ from a project team doing that? I understand that there's the trustless aspect if you have a DAO, but isn't that more or less the same as what a team would do as well? Set up a stake, the Clay Nation, for example, are setting up their own stake pool. How is it different in that regard?
Well, I think the difference is the fact that it doesn't have to be the team executing on that aspect. So a team, especially on a smaller project, there could be 3, 4, 5 people on the team. There's only so much that the team can do. So basically what this allows is for the DAO to allocate funds, either to hire developers that are not on the team or hire artists, whatever it takes to build whatever they want to do. And team doesn't necessarily have to be involved in that aspect. The team is kind of just supporting, especially at the very beginning when not all the infrastructure is in. The team is supporting everybody and trying to organize things so that they can get to their final point. But eventually, as time goes on, the team will kind of almost become just another member of the DAO.
Gotcha.
I would like to add that in order to answer this question, we could use a nicely framework that it comes from the decision-making process, in which you have 3 levels: a political level, a management level, and a technical or execution level. I think DAOs has difference from other way of organizing talent and capital in these 3 levels. At the high level, instead of having a commit that make these decisions in a more vertical way, DAOs are more political. I don't know if in other countries it is the same as in Argentina, but in Argentina, politicians are very bad people from a general point of view. Nobody wants to be a politician. And I think DAOs are bringing politics to the table, because decisions are made in a political way. You have to reach an agreement, you have to make an argument, you have to get support. From a management point of view, I think DAOs had a more scalable way of managing resources. You can deploy your DAO in a blockchain, and you reach the whole ecosystem in just one minting process, for example, and that is a strategic advantage from other way of organizing capital in which you have to be you have to be in some jurisdiction, for example. You have to be incorporated, or you have to be you have to be in some country. And in a technical point of view, well, there's new tools. Discord is one of the main tools so far. The smart contract, other tools. And I think what ADAO is doing is performing tools that will enable us to perform the management and the political aspect of a DAO through specific technological tools.
Yep, and I did want to get to that. So ADAO posting that question to you regarding where we are on Cardano, developing tools, creating that foundation, and basically what you started talking to me about before the stream, TCT. Would you mind kind of going over that a little bit for us?
Yeah, certainly. So when we think about doing something, running any organization, even a protocol, and doing that in a robust and decentralized manner, I like to kind of look at some past examples we have, which mostly are on Ethereum. So we can look at things like some of the major DeFi protocols on Ethereum, and what they use to govern these protocols is something called Governor Bravo. It used to be called Governor Alpha. And that is parameters, right? So that is fully on-chain. So it gets its censorship resistance from the Ethereum blockchain. And it doesn't privilege any admin, right? It doesn't privilege anyone the way some other DAOs and organizations are governed by using a multi-sig, and sometimes with or without off-chain advisory votes. But it is a simple and very, beneficial governance setup. So, we have that same ability on Cardano. We will see very soon. I know Liquid Labs spoke recently about Agora, which they have architectured very similar to something like Governor Bravo. We will see that being used to manage these DeFi protocols, which is different than native script multi-sigs, which we will also see and are currently seeing manage some of these DAOs and organizations. So those are two very different things. And I think a lot of times it gets confusing because we tend to talk about them in parallel, when in fact they're quite different. So right now, Cardano, native Cardano scripts have the ability to be used as multi-sig wallets. The difficulty is there are no user interfaces or coordination servers available. So we end up having to build these transactions ourselves, witness it, send it to our buddy who's one of the other signers. They do the same, send it to the other guy who needs to witness and sign it. And this is not very scalable. So that's kind of one of the first things that we've been working on, and trying to, get out and open source so everybody can easily coordinate a multi-sig.
And is that what you're currently working on? Is so
it
what?
is.
Yeah.
It's what we currently use to govern and make decisions at ADAO to actually spend from the treasury. And that's what we are currently, we do it through the CLI. So we're currently working on building a user interface that will be able to build these transactions for you.
Okay. Black Tie Collective from chat. Shout out to Black Tie Collective, who is another, at least an investment fund, aspiring DAO maybe. Is multi-sig the end goal for setting up a DAO? Is the question.
No, I would. It depends, right? And that's what I was, getting at. There's a couple different ways you can manage something in a decentralized manner. And I think for, smaller investment type DAOs, definitely that would be a great option.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is Adam. And I would say, you don't want to just have the multi-sigs. You also want to have the flexibility of being able to set up what we're talking about with like secondary contracts for bounties. So if you're trying to have a project where you want to say we've allocated 500 ADA for anybody who can build this tool for us, you want to be able to take that ADA out of your treasury and set it aside in escrow with some people who can then judge, has this tool been built, has it met our specifications, to be a secondary multi-sig. And you want that to be able to be something where first the DAO membership can decide, yes, we want this proposal to be done, we want this bounty to be set, but in addition to that, we want these people to be the ones who can release it to whoever is able to complete this task for us. And that, that's just one example of all sorts of kind of governance things that you might want to have your organization be able to get input from the members on.
Yep, that makes sense. Anybody else want to address that before we move on to the next question? All right, because I wanted to kind of address the elephant in the room, and probably the most common question that we get, and I guess that's simplifying things a little bit, but and it's basically this tweet here. I wanted to see if anybody just wants to respond to this tweet. I don't know if you see it, so I'll read it out. Many projects have adopted DAO as a last name. Does this name change really mean decentralization and transparency for you, or are you still left to trust a team and be exposed to risk of rug pulls? So, it's a very direct question.
Yeah, I think it's an important one though, because it's not only risk of rug pull, right? People very commonly have security issues, get hacked, have accidents, lose their keys. And then you have legal issues as well, right? I'm no security law expert, but, a protocol or an organization that's run with nothing other than token holder votes seems to have a much stronger case to not be considered a security.
Yeah, I was going to get into that topic for sure, and that it's the legal aspect of things. Is it a security? And I know Secret Goat Society. You I think it was Hobbs. You already talked about kind of the legal side of things. You do not have the word DAO in your name, and I assume that was on purpose.
Yeah, we got into looking into the legal aspect of it and what the law, at least in the U.S., what the law considers, a DAO and not a security, and we didn't feel comfortable using the name DAO in our project because from the people we talked to, the technology wasn't there to fall under the guidelines, at least in the US, of a full functioning DAO. So we did do some research into ways to pool money to buy NFTs as an investment that aren't considered securities. Investment clubs are legal. There's a very easy legal route to take on that. But DAOs, at least with the technology on Cardano right now, we felt very uncomfortable selling it as a DAO, or for legal reasons and for technology reasons.
Hobbs, Can I ask real quick, what U.S. definition of DAO are you referring to when you say have the U.S. definition of a DAO?
Well, it has to be decentralized, and I was reading off what they approved in Wyoming. I'd have to read it over again. I know when I was doing the research, though, on it, I was very concerned. Like, I was not wanting to be part of the project if we were going to call it a DAO. I was very concerned from a legal standpoint, at least in the U.S., of doing that. So we definitely looked into that and decided to be an investment club instead. I think we're just, because everything still relies on a group of people to make the transactions, make the Discord, make the website. There's a lot of trust right now. And I had a lot of discussions about that on Twitter prior to our project releasing. Is from everything I've researched and seen so far, there's a lot of trust that goes into this. So we didn't feel like using the term DAO was appropriate, and that's why we went with investment club.
Agreed. Can I speak to this a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. And then I want to get to Acronym and RatsDAO, who obviously went a different road, but I'm sure have thought about this as well.
Yeah. Hey, so we looked at this a lot when we were talking about how to structure ADAO, and Wyoming is, I think, the only. They're the main jurisdiction that has an actual definition of what a DAO is. And they only have that definition of what a DAO is in terms of their DAO LLC law. And so they actually define what they call a DAO is a limited liability corporation where you define the algorithm as the agent of the corporation. So you say, here's the algorithm on a blockchain. These are the set of parameters. And when people vote within the set of parameters, that is who you blame if something goes wrong. If something goes wrong. So if there's any fault, if there's any blame, the state can go and judgment can be made against the smart contract, against the company that has the smart contract. And then that smart contract is supposed to make good on that claim. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the US has a good understanding of what a DAO is, because that's just kind of taking this old framework we have of LLCs and saying that nobody has to sign their name on the dotted line. So what we decided to do with ADAO was say, we're not going to try to structure ourselves as a company that would be operating within the United States as a jurisdiction. So we actually define ourselves as just an unincorporated nonprofit association that exists on the blockchain. And we wanted to make sure that we had enough people so that if there's a question of agency, we can legitimately say there's no single person who made this decision. There's no one person who you can blame if you don't like it. Now you can try to take the entire organization and hold the entire organization accountable. And, we're making provisions for that. But it's this very weird area where we don't have a good understanding of, legally of what a DAO truly is. And we still have to figure that out. And I think it's going to be tested in a lot of cases in the years to come.
So,
go ahead.
From Acronym's perspective, we think there are definitely touchy lines when you're, giving out passive income or any sort of income. A lot of times it's more safe to say that when someone buys into a DAO, all they should be expecting is the experience and expecting no income in return. So that's how Acronym viewed it as. So that's why we only put 30% of our treasury into fractionalizing, and the other 70% of all the ADA will be going to other utility, like being a launch pad, starting a lending and borrowing platform. So Yeah, so I think the idea of getting dividends or some kind of monetary return based on buying the NFT itself is definitely touching on the legal aspects of it. Until we get more further regulation, we should all be like super careful about how we implement staking, dividends, returns, or anything like that.
Are you seeing people are with Acronym DAO that you have people who are minting the NFTs, they're wanting to participate in the project just for the sake of it? They should not at least be expecting returns, dividends, or anything of any kind from anything that you guys are building or any of that defractionalizing those purchases of NFTs. Is that what you're saying?
So I think, hi, I'm Nalu Kicks, also known as Evan. I'm here with StockPicker right now, and I think there's a difference between buying in it just for like the experience, and it's not necessarily just for the experience, because there are a multitude of ways to profit from being a Acronym DAO member. But I think it's a touchy subject when you get into dividends and promising returns to your members, because then you open up an entire legal hellhole of things that you need to like apply to, like regulations that you need to fit. So I think that the safe way for most DAOs to go right now is to say, hello, we are a DAO. We offer you benefits. We offer you utility. You can take loans. You can have blue chip deals. You can loan and lend to other members within this DAO, but we're not going to be promising you monetary gain for being in this DAO, especially because, like, we gave the example of Wyoming. Wyoming has a weird definition of a DAO. It's kind of just transferring that liability from a owner over to an algorithm. But the federal government of the United States doesn't actually have a definition of a DAO, so that leaves all the other states really in question. So I think Acronym is trying to at least play it safe until regulations are available that actually make it clear as to what a DAO can do legally. So that's what Acronym is doing.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard you, Diego, talk about this as well. If you want to jump in here, you addressed this during your AMA, for example.
Yes. Well, I think it is very early to start talking about regulation about DAOs. I think first we have to understand how they are evolving, what they are going to become. On the other hand, I think that governments are too busy and they are going to be working pretty hard to regulate stable coins, which is the main concern they have right now, and it is for obvious reasons. And I think that is going to take at least a few years to start understanding stablecoin, which is a much easier concept than a DAO. So I wouldn't be too much concerned about regulation about DAOs, because that is going to constrain our action for the next 5 years at least. I'm talking from Argentina, of course. It's not United States. United States is a more regulated country than Argentina. So I can talk, my point of view is coming from an Argentinian guy, so that has to be noticed. But I think that even in the United States, the problem is the same. Wyoming, what is doing what is called marketing regulation. They are trying to position themselves as a place to get investment, and of course, this regulation will become obsolete in the near future when real regulations start taking place. At least this is my point of view.
Thanks, Diego. Anybody else want to tackle that topic before we move on to the next one?
So I guess.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead, Adam.
I guess the last thing I want to say is just, we can talk about regulations in terms of whether something is a security and promising gains or not, and whether it should be regulated from that front. But I'll just use this from a U.S. perspective because that's where I am. You can insert your country as you think it may apply. I think U.S. citizens, U.S. persons should be much more concerned about the IRS than they should the SEC. because the IRS is going to, they want their due. Now you can look at the way you have structured your enterprise, and the whole point of a DAO is to say, we are so large and we are so decentralized that you can't think of us as just being a company, because there's too many people involved and there's too much money flowing. But the IRS is going to expect each individual to make good on what they expect the taxes to be. Whether or not you agree with that, that's what the IRS expects. Now, if you have too few people involved in your DAO, the IRS is going to look at that and say, what you have is probably a general partnership. And they will say, if under a general partnership, these 5 people who are running the DAO together are going to all be liable for if any one of them does anything wrong, or if any one of them makes a mistake, or if any one of them is behind on their taxes. So that's another reason for looking at like actual true decentralization, where you can say each person is acting on their own, responsible for themselves, and acting, with autonomy. The organization is autonomous and the people are decentralized, and there's not just one person who controls it.
Right. And that can't be so if the treasury of the DAO can be spent by, like Adam said, just 1 or 2, possibly even 3 members. I think that's probably my like biggest thought experiment when I'm thinking about this is like I said, how robust is it? If 2 people decide to not act or to act in a malicious way, can they destroy the DAO? And if they can, then despite what your definition is, it's probably not a very good DAO.
Well, I also looked at a bunch of DAOs on the Ethereum blockchain, and if you notice, most of them have a huge disclaimer on there. We came out and told everybody that we were going to have a disclaimer too, because we really wanted to be upfront with everybody, on what we were doing, what our plan was, and where we wanted to take it. But a lot of these DAOs on Ethereum that I was looking into have disclaimers that say, we don't promise anything other than you're going to get an NFT. Like, the project plans to move forward. They plan to evolve it. It's good intentions on a lot of them, but there are a lot of disclaimers. So people should always be reading those disclaimers and doing the research to make sure they're okay with what they're buying versus just buying a name.
I think at the end of the day, people can speculate about legalities. They can speculate about how robust the smart contract is, how much is going on, but there's always going to be an element of trust, especially this early in the game. The U.S. government, other governments, they're not coming after anybody right now. They haven't come after anybody, even people who have rugged for the most part. And, what I think matters right now, what matters to people that are coming into projects is, can we get things done? Can we be part of a community? Can we do stuff other than just waiting on the founders to do things while we create the thing? It doesn't matter how much centralization you have. If the founders just disappear from the Discord, that's a rug pull. If you have an investment DAO or another kind of DAO that's investing to a bunch of NFTs and stuff like that, even if the community is able to jump in and somehow buy the NFTs themselves through some sort of multi-sig, if the founders just disappear early on when people are counting on their leadership, it's a rug pull. So people have to think, do I trust this team to bring us to the point, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year, whether it's 2 years, do I trust this team to bring us to a point where we can operate as a decentralized community? If not, you shouldn't invest in the project, because, all these talks about legalities, they don't matter at this point. It's the Wild West, and we have to be real about it.
Yeah. And Diego, you've been, and feel free to jump in, anybody as well, but I want to ask you, Diego, because I remember you talking about this as well, that there is trust involved at this point, and you try to be upfront about that, right?
Yes. We knew that the price to be in early is to rely on trust. There is no other way. The other way is to wait for the whole ecosystem to evolve into a new stage in which we can rely only on a smart contract running on Cardano. I think that is still a long way to go. I don't know what TCT thinks about that, but I think if Ethereum took 4 years to start having, for example, the case of MakerDAO, which is, from my point of view, the most decentralized protocol as a project, no? Because the only DAO that really exists is Bitcoin. If you ask me, Bitcoin is the only DAO in the world, because it cannot be, right? Yes.
Yeah, I would push back against that. Like I was saying earlier, I think we have really good examples of how you can manage not only protocols, but smaller organizations in a very robust and decentralized way. I think Governor Alpha proves that. And I think that's a great example. As far as Cardano goes, I know they haven't advertised it a lot lately. But I know that Liquid Labs has been working very hard. I know that ADAO has some developers that have been contributing to what they call Agora, and that will be extremely similar in design to Governor Bravo. So an updatable set of smart contracts that can manage protocol or any organization in a decentralized way, not just through signers, but through token holders as well, and do it completely on chain. So I think we're going to start seeing that very on Cardano. I know they are very close to and plan to open source that completely. And I know that ADAO plans to continue to contribute and build on top of that, because that's what it is, right? It's although a very powerful one, it's just a building block, just like native script capability is. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot of new software, right, where we can continue to build on top of these things.
Yep. I wanna ask. I wanna move on, I guess, and talk a little bit about the CNFT space and kind of like the. I feel like there's been a boom. DAOs. A DAO has kind of become a buzzword recently, and I want to ask Acronym DAO, like why do you think that is? How did you hear about it? Like what has been your journey from discovering what the DAO is, and then deciding to make a DAO on Cardano? Just want to get a sense for that journey.
I've been in crypto since I was 12. I'm 17 right now, but I've always, the moment I saw Uniswap, which is a protocol DAO on Ethereum, I thought this is what like a DAO can be. It doesn't only have to be just a shared bank account. Of course, Uniswap has their own token and everything, which is similar to how we have our own NFTs, right? But I think as I saw CNFT space, like I saw a bunch of investment DAOs, and I think a lot of people, like that grew to people because it gives you a lot of great alpha. It tells you where all the big players are, and it just gives like the whole community more liquidity, right? But I think as CNFT goes on, I think we're gonna start shifting away from just pure investment DAOs and just more shifting towards like protocols, more philanthropic DAOs, media DAOs, and then of course we already have social DAOs like Clay, right? Clay is a DAO themselves. So, and I'm sure that Meld is going to start coming around soon too. So I think DAOs are just as Cardano and all the different cryptocurrencies become more decentralized, you're going to have more DAOs because DAOs are just the best, or like one of the best ways to just make sure that everyone has their own voice and their own vote to govern a protocol.
Okay. Dave, did you want to add to that?
I wanted to ask, I'll be the dumb guy in the room. What do you mean by Clay is a social DAO? That's just a phrase I haven't heard before, but yeah, I'd just be curious to hear more about that.
Well, yeah. So actually, Clay does have their own DAO. I think they did make their own Clay token. Shout out to Lally Clay. But if you look on their Clay paper, they have a Clay DAO, and they've actually done a couple votes. One vote was whether to make their own smart contracts marketplace, but that got turned down. And they have another one on whether I forgot what it was, but they've been doing votes recently. And social DAO is really more geared towards like NFT projects. So BAYC is also another social DAO. So like social DAOs, they provide utility, but social DAOs revolve really more around the actual NFT. So a lot of times it's the NFT project that comes first, and then it's a DAO that comes after.
Can I comment there on the Clays?
Yep.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because I would very respectfully push back against that too.
Mm-hmm.
I would.
Okay, so like the Clays have a DAO, but it's not a DAO. It's just, I think people use DAO like they use the word literally. You know, it's just being used as like a community voting system. They just use the word DAO now. And
yeah,
Clays have DAOs. You get like, you know, for Clay owners, you get X votes per original Clay, 1 vote for GC, Clay, whatever. And then they propose changes to the whole project. And then you vote yes or no, or you vote option 1, 2, or 3. And your number of Clays weights your votes in Discord. Like when I check it, I get 18 or something checks, you know, so that's what Clay is doing. But it tilts me they say DAO, but I think people are just autopiloting, putting DAO in their, you know, very much centralized or like just community voting distribution program. I don't know. It's not, it's nothing even remotely close to a DAO.
Well, yeah, I would agree with.
That's kind of what I wanted to get into, because what I meant by buzzword, like everybody is using this word, and it can be very confusing as somebody who's just getting into it to kind of recognize, okay, what is it? Well, it looks different over here to what they're trying to do over there. What Clay is doing, is that the same as ADAO is doing? So it can get confusing.
Right. I think that's an example of a great community-focused project, but just the way a corporate company can allow shareholder votes, just because you allow voting does not make something a DAO.
No, it's not even close. Right. And
I think on our end, in the Ape Society, I think that a lot of that kind of criticism came initially when people were coming into our Discord or Twitter or whatever and saying, oh, you guys aren't investing in something. How is this a DAO? Though there's a team running certain things, how is this a DAO? But the protocol that we have kind of going on, and things will get more decentralized as things go on, but basically any user can come forward and submit a proposal, and they have to have it co-signed by a few different people. And it goes on to a proposal process where the whole community gets together and discusses the pros and cons. If it has enough support, it then goes on to a voting process. And if it passes the quorum and the amount of people that need to be voting percentage-wise, it then gets implemented by the community. So, us, the founders, could leave for 2 weeks if we wanted to.
I would.
And the DAO
still not a DAO
can function. I don't see how it's not a DAO though. Because a DAO doesn't even have to
agree.
money. It's about being decentralized and autonomous.
Right.
Two things.
That's what I would.
Are you guys totally opposed to saying there's no such thing as social DAOs?
No, not at all. I guess so. For clarity, what I would say is the community can then implement, right? So if the implementation of what was voted on requires spending a UTXO, right? Spending from a treasury, there has to be either a number of multi-sig signers or a number of token holders that actually make that happen.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, but I think we have to be reasonable. There's not on ADA right now. There's not a UI wise, UX wise. There's not a system out there that benefits people that aren't technical that they can go set up a multi-sig wallet. If you go on Ethereum or like Ethereum adjacent chains, there's Gnosis. If you're on Solana, there's some things there, but on ADA, there's not something right now that someone that isn't technical, someone that isn't super good with computers can just come and do a multi-sig. There's just no tech out there and UI out there that allows that. So if you're forcing people to go down the route of using CLIs, doing all these kinds of things, you're actually making the product less decentralized at this point because you're alienating a large percentage of your audience.
Right.
So I think that'll come with time, but at this point, just using Discord, having some element of trust allows things to actually get done.
No, of course, I agree. I would argue that's not enough to change the definition or how we talk about DAOs, but
yeah, I agree too.
You're right, though. But so native multi-sig capabilities are available natively in Cardano. They have been for over a year now. The issue that we face is one, because there's no TX builder. Well, there is now. Where I'd urge everyone to do a little exploring in the ADAO community GitHub, because that's exactly what we're working on, right? We want people to be able to easily construct multi-sig transactions, and then have some way to coordinate them instead of sending these files around to each other. But just because that's not ready yet, I would be very hesitant to start, changing definitions and kind of how we talk about things, because I think it does get very confusing.
Yeah, I'll say I think that there is, as we've sort of talked about here, a difference between like decentralized governance protocols and being an actual DAO. So you can be an organization that allows for certain decentralized governance to happen, where you can say this aspect of our enterprise, we're going to ask for token holders to give their input, and we're going to carry out their wishes. And that's a great thing for a project to do, but it doesn't make them a DAO. But being a DAO means that the founders are not only able to, allow something to happen that is against, what their particular wishes are, but that they're also allowing other people to come in and gain as much power as them. That's sort of how I see a DAO.
That's how it's been in our community. We've had proposals that us as a team, like, I don't know, but they passed and being implemented by the community.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of those things is here on Cardano, we don't have the technology yet to have a pure DAO experience. So much like, Ethereum, where gas fees keep them from having that kind of experience where they have to have, governors to carry out the wishes of the members. We have to have layers like this too, in a lot of cases, until we build up the technology for the user interface for the front end. But I'm a little bit generous in the fact that I think that anybody who is moving towards that model, who's willing to say we know what a DAO is and we are moving in that direction, I'm okay with them calling themselves a DAO and saying, we're not perfect yet, but we're working towards it. And ultimately realizing it's never going to be a 100% perfect thing either.
Yeah, I think that's the key there. We might be, we could probably argue all day about this point, but I think the most important thing is that transparency, that, the roadmap, basically, where are you heading? What are you trying to build? What's the end goal here? And being transparent about that.
Yeah, 100%.
I think everyone calls themselves a DAO too because they'll sell more and make more money. They're calling themselves a social governance investment group for the community or something.
Not very
just
catchy.
slating a DAO helps. Yeah, DAO people aren't geniuses. This is just like, it's a DAO. Okay, I'll buy 10. But that's it.
It's fair. It's fair. There are lots of projects that are not DAOs that are using it as a buzzword too. So that's fair too. That's perfectly fair criticism.
I appreciate that perspective, Travis. I hope you hold it down. Unfortunately, I will have to jump off, but I really enjoyed this. I'm going to try to listen in, and I hope to talk to all of you again.
Thanks for your time, TCT.
Yeah.
We'll be around here for another 40 minutes or so if you want to listen in.
Same for me. Thanks, guys.
And my DM always open on Discord, so please feel free to DM me. Like I said, I hope to talk to all of you.
Thanks, ADAO, for stopping by and providing your insights. Really appreciate it. All right.
He said he had to go at the beginning, I think, in an hour.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. He's actually been here 20 minutes longer than he said he could. Now, I heard well, let me jump right into this question, because we were starting to talk a little bit about kind of governance and how DAOs should operate. And right now, I'm pretty sure all DAOs on Cardano are using Discord, right? What do you guys think about that? Because there are some people that see that as a potential issue. I'm gonna try to pull up this tweet here if I can. Where is it? Here it is. The biggest mistake DAOs make is choosing to use Discord. I spent the past 18 months in over 100 Web3 Discords observing how it's used. It goes on about some of the disadvantages of using Discord. Any thoughts on that? Are there any better ways to do it? Go for it. George.
Good to have video. I can put my hands up. This is like school time. I love it. Now, so I'm gonna. Hopefully, Graphics is around to talk, because he's been instrumental in setting up our Discord. But I'm gonna talk a little bit more old school side. From the old school side, me. I'm used to simple chats, simple Telegram chats, which Telegram has a lot of APIs and all this kind of stuff, and of course Slack. But coming into Discord, I always thought it's a terrible interface. But in saying that, having been in this environment for now, the last few months, there's so much you can achieve, and there's so much. I know there's a lot of noise. Can be a lot of noise if you're disorganized. But I think Discord has actually been a godsend in the drive towards this DAO concept of getting a lot of people involved. It's actually where everyone spends a lot of time. I mean, I've got every one of you guys, I've got a Discord channel on the side here. We're all here. So to say that it's the wrong technology is, I think, kind of misplaced, because we're all here, and that's the important part. Where are most people at? And I think that will drive the answers. That's my view on it.
Okay. Yeah. Valid point.
Do they suggest a better alternative? I mean, if I got to go to a website anyways, what's the difference between going to a website to vote or a Discord, I guess, would be my thing.
That's the thing. I didn't really see a possible solution other than just a fully,
well, we don't vote with smart contracts yet, so there's no real reason to use anything but just something like Discord. Like, it doesn't matter until we have to sign something.
I mean, even if there was like a smart contract, right, they probably have to go to a website to sign their votes in, right? So they'd have to go somewhere other than Twitter to likely do it, whether it be a link they could click on. I just don't know that there's an option that makes a whole lot more sense. So I guess I just don't get that argument. Like, I actually sort of despise Discord. I'd rather be on Twitter. But for voting and for community building and all that, I don't see a better option, to be honest.
Do you see any negatives with, I mean, okay, it's kind of silly to be talking about it without a better solution. But some of the concerns or some of the potential issues that I've thought about was there can be a lot of noise in there. How can you maximize voting, for example? Just all of the functions of operating a DAO. Is Discord the ideal tool for that?
Well, I think also, has anyone kept up with the Sunday ISO, right? They told us to choose the Sunday scoopers, and they told us we could like send 2 ADA to this address to vote for this and this and this, right? So I guess that could be another, form of way of voting that's all on chain.
Yeah, I think
it's not hard to verify that people own the token and to do that via a website, by sending ADA. But my thing, I'll let George go. Go ahead, George.
It's all right, Hobbs.
I was just gonna say I don't know how that's any different. Like you still have to go to a separate area to vote, right? Like it's not all like if a DAO had a website, in case all the DAOs get together and make one website, and then you can just like click a tab for the one that you want to verify with. Maybe that makes it more streamlined process. But other than that, then I don't see. I guess Discord's another place where you have all the tabs there. You can just switch between them. And this is coming from a guy that doesn't love Discord. So
yeah, fair enough.
Another quick
I think
interjection.
Discord is the best we have right now, but
I compare voting to Australian voting versus US voting, which is you guys don't have to vote. We have to, right? We're talking about government kind of changes and things like that. We're forced to vote. It's an interesting idea that everyone has to turn up, whereas in the US, it's an optional thing. I don't know what percentages people turn up to. But the people that do turn up have a deep interest in making those decisions. And I think that's important. Whereas we're forced to turn up. And people say, well, they're just going to throw their vote anyway. So people who turn up are very interested in making a change, in being part of it. And I think that's not a bad thing. Whether you only get 10% of the people voting, 5%, doesn't matter. I think the people who turn up want to be part of it. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and that might actually address the question that I was going to pose next, Cardman. I'll get to you as well. But, because sometimes I think about the issues with the voting system in general. Like if 3 wolves and 2 sheep are trying to vote on what to have for dinner, is that a really good system? Are there any better systems than what we have right now? And I'm not the expert. I'm definitely not the expert. So I just wanted to throw that question out there if anybody has thought about that.
I think an ideal system would be if, you could share a link in whatever your social media channel of choice is. We'll connect their wallet, vote, it goes. But the user experience has to be on par or better than Discord. Because I think one thing to think about, especially when learning from democracy in general, is voter suppression. When you put roadblocks to people voting, only puts the power in the hands of a few that have certain advantages. And you see that happen in the US, you see that happen in a lot of countries. And that can manipulate elections into favoring the party that has more access to whatever that certain thing is. And I think what we want to do is get as many people involved as possible.
Yeah, it seems like in that case then, if NFT, well, I'm looking at it from an NFT point of view, but I guess, no, not even an NFT point of view. And from a crypto level sort of point of view, everything revolves around the wallet, right? There's some sort of token that's allowing you access to vote or whatever. So, but the wallet doesn't serve as the communication mechanism, right? You need Twitter. Or, by the way, I'm on team anti-Discord. I'm a UX designer, product designer. I can't stand Discord. I think the experience is awful. Maybe I'm also too old. I'm at that boomer level now for internet technology. So yeah, but you still need the communication piece. People do still need to be able to read and evaluate. What is this proposal? What am I voting on? But if you're in crypto and you're participating in a DAO, in theory, you have a wallet and you have a token. So your accessibility should be on par and the same as everyone else's. I guess it's just that proposal mechanism. How do people read about what's being proposed? How are they communicated to that there's something to vote on to begin with? But then in terms of accessibility, yeah, how are you presented with the interaction point to sign, whether it's a website or whatever? That one's a little more difficult to solve.
Mm-hmm. Can I make a quick intermission, if you will? because I wanted to mention the auction again. About 30 minutes left of the auction, guys. So I'm trying this service for the first time. So what I discovered is that you do have to put in your credit card to actually make a bid, but nothing gets charged, and at the end everything is refunded, and I will charge you an ADA. So the bid that you're making should be in ADA. And what the team behind the piece here, what they just told me is that they will offer one NFT out of the reserve treasury upon launch and one whitelist spot for the auction winner, for the number one winner. The the second, third, fourth, and fifth bids will also get an NFT. So again, posting it in the chat, the auction link, if you guys want to bid. Everything goes directly to a nonprofit in Ukraine. So I appreciate it. Nalu Kicks. I just see a new face in here.
I have replaced Stockpicker. He had to run, so I am here in Acronym's presence. I'm another one of the team behind it.
All right, you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, sure. Sorry to barge in, but I'm Nalu Kicks. I'm junior in high school, one of the founders of Acronym DAO. I got into the CNFT space, I want to say 8 months ago. Stockpicker introduced me. We had been friends in the stock market before, and he was always telling me, oh, crypto has all this. There's so much space for it to grow. There's so much opportunities. You have to do it. And I was always kind of shrugging it off. I'm like, no. And then it's like NFTs. I'm like, hold up. You want me to buy pictures? And it was an entire new world that I kind of got thrust into, but I'm so happy that I'm here and I never looked back.
Well, yeah, good to have you here. I'm loving the age gap on this panel. It's pretty great. All right.
Thank you.
The Plague Overseer with another highest bid here, 66 ADA for the NFT. Shout out to him. All right, where were we? I wanted to discuss tokenomics for a little bit, if you guys are up for that. Specifically, like how do you think about tokenomics? Is you obviously need to think it through really well. So if any of the DAOs here or investment clubs want to chime in on their thoughts about setting up their project's tokenomics, NFTs versus fungible tokens, how do people cash out, if you will? Yeah, thoughts on that, guys? Big question, I guess. Not very specific.
I can talk about a little bit the specific case of RatsDAO, which is kind of a specific case because it's not a regular token governance. What we create is like a two-layer tokenomics, so to speak. One layer was the CNFT, which was the one that was minted in the minting process, and it's more like a social layer for tokens. In order to be part of the DAO, you need to be a holder of this NFT, and right now it is being used to vote. In the future, is going to be used for like allowing you to vote. You are going to be allowed to vote if you hold one of these NFTs. So far we have 10,000 NFTs. We are thinking about increasing that amount because, as I said, it is a social token. It is for people, not for capital. For capital, we have the second layer, which is the RAT. It's the fungible token. You can earn RAT through the CNFTs. So this is the two layers tokenomic. The RAT is a fixed supply, so scarcity is on RAT and not on the social layer tokenomic, in which we can increase the members of the RatsDAO without increasing the supply of the token that represent the economic rights on the treasury. As I said, the specific case of RatsDAO, you have a token that has a treasury that backs it up, at least for a floor, like a floor price, because if the price of the token goes below the value of the treasury that collateralize it, of course, it is undervalued, and it can go above due to some premium for being part of the DAO, for having voting power. So this is in a nutshell how we thought tokenomics on RatsDAO.
I got a quick question for you while you're on tokenomics of RatsDAO. I was looking into it, and I talked to a guy that's in the RatsDAO, and I was very intrigued by your tokenomics, but correct me if I'm wrong. People stake the NFT, now that the initial drop of RAT is done, people will stake the NFT to earn RAT. So then there's a certain period of point of staking where all the RAT will be handed out. So as that staking period goes on, does that actually devalue the NFT and then put all the value into the tokens? Because then the tokens are the voting power, is what I was understood.
Yes, that's a nice way to put it. Before any airdrop, the whole value of the treasury was on those that hold the CNFT that allow them to accrue the RAT. So RAT wasn't sold on secondary market until after the first airdrop. So it's like the value behind the CNFT splits into two and start to low its own value, because some of the RATs are being given to those that hold the CNFTs. So it's like when you do a splitting, you split the value into two things, different things. After the second airdrop, the only source of value from the treasury point of view is going to be the staking program. So the CNFTs are, if you hold it for the whole period of 2 years, you at least are going to earn 4,500 RAT. So that's the value you can get from a CNFT. As long as this time go through, this value is going to be reduced. We don't know what is actually going to happen after these 2 years, because one way we can have a burning process from RAT in order to fund a continuous reward program. So when you vote, you may burn some RAT, and this RAT go to a fund, and that fund is going to be used to keep rewarding staking. We don't know yet. Actually, it's going to be a decision from the DAO. Or we are not going to make that decision right now. We have 2 years to know what we are going to do, but certainly some value goes to the RAT. But in order to vote, you need to have a CNFT. So there's always going to be some value in this CNFT, because you need it to be part of the DAO.
So
Interesting.
Does the RAT token have voting power too, or is it just the CNFT has voting power?
The CNFT,
like if I went and bought RAT,
CNFTs are going to allow you to vote, but the voting power is going to be calculated as a proportion of your RAT according to the whole circulation RAT available. in the process of voting, because there may be some rat that are on the secondary market or just holding on a wallet and not being part of the voting process.
Yeah, I love how. Oh wait, yeah, is my mic on? Yeah, I think so. But I love how they're literally building the DAO in the background there somewhere. Do you guys keep hearing that banging? All right, 20 minutes to go, by the way, on that auction, 170 ADA, not dollars, 170 ADA, the highest bid, Plague Overseer. Shout out. Anybody want to add to that, what Diego was saying? Did that answer your question, Hobbs?
Yeah, that answered my question. I thought all the voting power from the conversation I had with somebody, all the voting power would be rats. So it's interesting that the amount of votes you have is the rat token, but you also have to own a CNFT to be qualified to vote. So I think that's interesting. I thought it was pretty cool way of doing it, to be honest.
I agree.
Is it okay if this acronym kind of has a different way of doing tokenomics?
Yeah, let's hear it.
First of all, I think the way that Rats is doing the tokenomics is really interesting, and I basically had the exact same question as Hobbs as to if you have a single token that has the governance and the fractionalization aspect kind of combined into one, that kind of threatens to devalue the initial NFT. But I think that Diego, you answered that question quite clearly, so thank you for that. The way that Acronym is doing it is we're using Blue Shrimp to fractionalize our NFTs. So first of all, it kind of creates a quicker output. We're going to be getting those tokens out fairly quickly within the next couple months, actually. And we're also going to be using a separate token called Verbs for our governance token. And I think that Acronym chose to do this because, first of all, it's simple, but second of all, it keeps the fractionalization and the governance separate, because we feel that when it gets mixed, it's going to be somewhat like convoluted and messy. So for example, the way that the tokens are going to work, every single NFT that is in our treasury will be locked up permanently in a smart contract vault. And then we will be receiving tokens that are the fractions of that NFT that will be distributed to the member based off of how many Acronym NFTs they hold. So there's a 1-to-1 ratio. So every Acronym NFT you hold equals 1 share. And that just directly corresponds to your part or your governance in the DAO. And then on the other end of the spectrum for our governance token, which will be called Verbs, and Acronym actually held a vote in our Discord server, I want to say 2 to 3 days ago, as to what our next YouTube video should be, because we felt that a YouTube channel would be a good way to kind of educate our users. And the overwhelming majority voted for us to do a tokenomics video. So I won't go too into depth here because we're going to have another video explaining our tokenomics on our YouTube channel. But basically, we're going to be using Blue Shrimp tokens to manage the fractionalization aspect of it, and then we're going to be creating Verbs, which will manage the governance and the voting aspect of the DAO.
All right, thanks for that. Can you tell us, for those who don't know, I've heard about Blue Shrimp, but can you tell us what they do, what they are?
Yeah, so Blue Shrimp is a smart contracts platform that hopes to create the first kind of fractionalized platform for NFTs on the CNFT space. And we've had lots of meetings with them, and I just want to say that the product that they were going to be delivering is absolutely amazing. First of all, the UI is stunning. It's a brilliantly designed platform, but the parameters that are built behind the entire platform have been extremely well thought out. They've thought about almost every scenario that's possible, whether the holders of tokens dies, what happens when two people bid on a certain token. And it's an extremely complex, simple, and advantageous system to anyone who is holding those tokens. And basically, in the end, Blue Shrimp will have a platform where anybody, it's open to the public, can bid an auction for tokens. So that's the benefit of being an Acronym DAO holder. If you're not, you can always go and bid to get fractions of the NFTs that Acronym DAO will be fractionalizing. But as an Acronym DAO member, you'll be receiving those fractions for free, basically, for being a member of the DAO.
Would you say that, because I hear that word come up a lot, fractionalization, when I'm researching DAOs. Anybody can chime in here, but is that a use case that we should be excited about? how is it related to DAOs? I mean, I guess you just told us a little bit. Anybody thought about that in particular?
I think fractionalization is interesting, but I think one issue that can come up with fractionalization is that I believe that like for the value of a single NFT that you're fractionalizing, if it's not above a certain value point, it becomes difficult. Because if you're breaking up something that's worth 180 into 1,000 pieces, but where is the buying pressure coming from? Why is someone can just go buy that NFT straight up? Like most of the time, if they're part of the NFT community, a lot of people can. And, you know, I don't know exactly their end plan, but I know like Bored Ape is coming out with a token. But for them, it's like if that does fractionalize their NFT, or if you do get a fractionalized piece on like fractional.art or whatever, splitting an NFT worth like 500 grand or 300 grand or whatever it is. So it's bringing people in that couldn't get in. Like I can't buy an ape. So if I wanted the exposure, I could get that. But I think at a lower point, it can be a bit difficult. And I think we have to be careful when doing tokenomics on that end.
Can I ask a generalized question to anybody?
Yeah, go for it. Oh, did he? Oh, he crashed. He crashed. Discord said no.
Yeah,
that was going to be a tough question too.
Oh yeah. Got rugged.
Yeah.
Hold on, come back.
There you are.
My question was, Lane, this is like a dumb question. Why should I buy into a DAO or a group or whatever? If I wanted a space button, I had 10,000 ADA. Why would I not buy my own space button for 10,000 ADA? Or why should I put 10,000 ADA into your investment group? Like what is the benefits of a group if you just have ADA yourself?
I think it's a good question.
That's a really good question. If I could expand, I would like to. So we've done the math, and it actually turns out to be a point. What I find extremely interesting about DAOs is that there's a point in which the entry pass to a DAO or the NFT is actually worth less than what you would be getting in fractions. So I think that once a DAO treasury gets to a certain point and the NFTs that the DAO is holding gets to a certain point, by just simply buying the NFT to gain entry to the DAO, it's an instant profit because the fractions that you receive in that case are actually worth more than the pass that you bought. But I think it is an interesting question because especially large players, I mean, for example, I'll just give Drums, Crypto Drums as an example. He's aping into NFTs, right? He doesn't necessarily need the fractions at all. But from a whale perspective, the purpose or the advantage into aping into a DAO is simply to have voting power and to have a little bit more of a standing within a DAO, because the DAOs are such like large, complex structures. And if you have the capital if you're participating in a DAO, it kind of allows you to have a little bit more leeway, a little bit more voice in a stronger system. But I'll add one more final point. I think that DAOs are kind of capable of giving services and utility that an individual cannot give you. So for example, in Acronym's case, we offer loans. And if you have 10,000 ADA, sure, but we just had someone today actually take out a loan on an orangutan for 17,500 ADA and for 3 weeks. So I would say that the benefit to joining a DAO is, if anything, to get fractions that are worth more than your initial entry point, or second, to take advantage of the utility that a DAO offers that an individual member cannot.
Well, if you lock up, I got to go after this one. The kid's starting to scream, but I mean, so I believe in CNFTs, right? I believe in the early ones. I think they're going to do well. I wouldn't have been a part of the Secret Growth Society if I didn't think these were going to increase in value. But if you talk about liquidity, like say you spend 7,000 ADA as a whale on just one bud, you could really diversify and still have access to buds taking off by spending a little less and getting a DAO token. There's less risk. There's less money tied up in it that way. Now, granted, you have to trust the team behind the DAO. You know, you have that risk, but I don't know that putting $10,000 into a DAO and putting $10,000 into, into a space bud is necessarily apples to apples. Because if I'm doing that, I don't have any pixels because I was dumb and I forgot, I put them off for too
I don't
long.
have either.
So I have access to that now by owning, some secret goat society NFTs without tying up, what is it? The floor is like 2,500.
So you mean you have access to their potential gains, right? Like not their
Correct,
actual
yeah.
NFTs. Like, yeah.
Well, so you own like a part of the wallet, right? So I have access to them, like if they take off or they make like since our investment club owns them, and the idea of the value behind them is like the rewards we'll get. I have access to that without paying $2,000 per pixel, right?
Right, but that's only if pixels double in value, then you catch that share
Not even
yourself
double.
if you're in the DAO or whatever.
If pixels pay rewards out and are
Okay, yes, sorry.
The big thing behind
pixels is different, I guess, where they pay out. Yeah.
So then you have access to that revenue stream without, it's less risk is what I'm saying. I'm not tying up 2,000 in something that either does or doesn't. I'm tying up, 60 per token if you mint it,
Right, but how much you ever going to get paid out, I guess.
The added to that, obviously,
go ahead, I got to check out you guys.
All right, let's take care of those babies, Hops.
Hops. So I'm going with Hobbs. With talk about less risk is obviously less reward as well potentially, but you are talking about pulling in money, and you know how you always say that money makes money. Basically, I mean that's the reality. The more you can throw at something, a doubling of a big project is better than a doubling of little bits and pieces, which then is like as an individual investor, that's all you can achieve basically, right? So. It's a bigger chunk that can come in, and same like we looked at the goat tribe, for example. I mean that's where we are at, but they're going to have their own tokenomics. The more goats you have, the more tokens you get. So that kind of increased exposure is what we're looking at.
For me, for DAOs, I get what you're saying and diversify, but the DAOs, other than them buying that berry, like the RatsDAO buying a berry, every DAO is just bought totally obtainable NFTs that I could just buy myself. I could literally buy everything your DAO is buying and be just as diversified without being in a DAO. And I'm just wondering, why would I even bother with a DAO if I could just look at your DAO and buy everything you bought and have the exact same portfolio myself with my own money?
That's actually true.
Right? Because I would think DAOs have a bigger advantage if you buy really expensive things, right? Sorry, that's my rant.
There's something
called collective intelligence. So when you rely on a DAO, you may have some insight that as an individual investor you may not have. Of course, if you're an expert on CNFTs, you don't need the DAO if you're an expert and you have the capital. But for most of the people that don't have the expertise nor the capital, well, DAOs makes a nice way of being part of this ecosystem. Guys, I have to move on to another interview, so I say bye-bye.
Yep, we were just about to wrap up in the next 10 minutes anyways. Thanks for being here, Diego. Really appreciate your input. There he is.
One thing I wanted to throw into that question.
Hey, man.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so we kind of thought about that a bit, and something that we think we're doing a little bit differently is our treasury doesn't own any NFTs, so we don't buy the community. The only rule in the community is we don't buy investment NFTs, because for us the value that we're trying to provide is social knowledge and exposure. So the hope is that people that are in the DAO and learn from each other. There's people that have been joining over the last couple days and last couple weeks that have huge wallets, people that have huge expertise. So people can work together within the DAO using the treasury as support to build on their ideas, to share knowledge, to share alpha. The money, if you buy one of our apes for say you join, our floor price is 100 right now or something like that. But if you join for 400, 1,000, 5,000, you're getting access to the knowledge of that community. You're getting access to, if you have an idea, you can petition the community to go use that treasury for your idea. So you never even have to sell, or you can make your money back without draining from the liquidity of our own pool funds.
You said you guys have a rule not to buy. You mean not buying other NFTs in the way that some of these other DAOs are talking about? Is that what you mean?
And we don't buy investment, like we don't have any sort of like flipping or like buying and selling aspect in our DAO. The point is to use the money for the people in the community or ideas that come up. But someone could buy an NFT that is useful for some reason other than investing.
So could someone make a proposal to change the DAO for you guys to buy? Could someone make that proposal to change that one rule that you guys have?
I mean, I suppose they could, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Gotcha.
Alex, could I circle back to your question to give you a quick answer? Because I thought it was a pretty interesting question. And I'll try to explain without defecating. But okay. I understand I'm not really comparing apples to apples right here. Mm-hmm. But I think your question is kind of similar to, for example, like why do millionaires have like put their money in banks? Mm-hmm. Like why do they need to like be a part of that system in the first place? If they have so much money, then they don't need to take loans. They can just buy apartments in full. They can buy condominiums, real estate, whatever they want. And I think my answer to that is that right now, DAOs are in the really early stage, and kind of, in my opinion, a lot of DAOs aren't really seeing behind this buzzword of like fractionalization. And like, right. I don't want you to think that the only utility that a DAO offers is a fraction of an NFT that you can already buy, because DAOs have so much more capability than that. And I think that's what Acronym and other DAOs are trying to do, is just to expand utility. Like, because with a larger treasury and with a larger treasury than what most individuals already have, a DAO is capable of doing a lot of things, anywhere from loans, fractionalized loans, to being a launchpad, project aggregator. So I think that the sooner people see beyond the fractionalization aspect and see that, hey, DAOs are more like a bank that we can kind of invest in, and just brings me like this kind of stability to my portfolio, I think that's when Cardano is really going to start to grow.
Sure. And then another point I'd like to make on that is that, say, I'm just going to keep round numbers. Say I bought $10,000 in clays, okay? Or instead, I put $10,000 in a DAO, and the DAO bought clays, and the DAO, everything the DAO had doubled, and the clays doubled. And if I want to cash out, I could cash out 20,000 ADA in my clays, but if I can't cash out my DAO token at double the amount, right? Because maybe, I guess the portfolio goes up, the base token would go up, and it's not always the case. Like I guess that's managing risk and things like that. But I feel like when you buy into a DAO, your token, doesn't always follow.
But I got your point, and then maybe my answer to that is, and we've actually had discussions around this point, which is, well, what's the value? What's the real value of this thing? And our also thoughts around this is transparency, and therefore reporting of the structure of the DAO and where things are at in terms of treasure, in terms of value, in terms of all those kind of things, is what will then you can make the calculations based on, right? Okay, that's where the treasure is at. This is going to give me 20% return. Damn, okay.
Yep.
The value will move accordingly, and therefore give you that balance of, okay, the token goes up, therefore you can cash that out, and just like anyone, you make a business decision. Well, okay, how much am I really looking to make out of this investment, basically? So, that's purely from an investment point of view.
For the DAOs to pay out, though, they have to sell assets that they've invested in, correct?
Correct.
Right. So,
and how does that work? That's actually something. That's a question that I get quite a bit. It's like, let's say that I do want to cash out. Is that even possible? Can I ever cash out profits at some point?
Yeah, it's like
two parts, right?
Cash out in the form of what? Like in the form of tokens, fractions, governance tokens, NFTs.
ADA.
ADA.
Give me ADA. There's two parts, really. You got the token value, and of course, which is basically your share. Right? It's just like anything you buy a share into, you no longer can cash out. You say, well, give it back to me.
Right.
Well, that share is that, the token value is that cashing out process. You're not. It's not a fund that you put money in and you get it back out. It's really the share itself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's it's a concept that a lot of people struggle with, and I have struggled with for a while. But yeah, I just noticed it's a very common question that I get about DAOs.
Yeah.
And I think people are in for short-term money, which I don't think DAOs are, right? Like you put in 500 ADA, or you put in 5,000 ADA for a DAO, and everything's going great. Spacebud's floors doubled. If you just bought that one Spacebud, you could have taken out 10,000 ADA instantly, and it might take a while on time for you to see that return in your DAO. So like people really focused on short-term flips. I think DAOs are probably not the right choice, right? Would be what I'm getting at. It's more
what you're describing is an investment DAO. It's not an umbrella term, right?
Yes.
True.
Yes, you're right. That's true. Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Yep.
Which most of ours are.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I want to start with that question of like, what is a DAO? Because a lot of people still think that an investment club or an investment future DAO is the only type of DAO there is. But it's really just a way to organize and structure an organization, right? In a decentralized way.
It's not the only way. If you look at what in the last 6 months, what's the largest DAO ever at this point? Well, it was a scam, and they were doxxed, right?
It was, yeah.
Wonderland lost a few $100,000 on that fun play, and that was a really good educational experience. But I think that it's an education piece on our part, right? We really need to educate folks on what the hell is a DAO? Like, is it just an investment DAO? And the answer is clearly no. But most people in CNFT believe that's the case. Trust me, we got a lot of weird FUD when we were launching about it. And we were kind of confused, right? Like, we didn't realize, like, why do they think this? But now I get it. So we're really going to be pushing an educational component to this to kind of help the space grow in that regard.
That's perfect. That's what I want to see. And part of the, the main purpose of this chat to begin with.
I think that the point that you made about like DAOs being kind of this long-term thing is somewhat valid, but I think that's the whole point of, I keep saying this over and over, but the expanding utility for the DAO. And I mean, Acronym's done over I want to say, we've done like 34 loans to date. And I want to say that over 50% of them were for short-term monetary gain. So, and those are for people who had, maybe they just got lucky, they minted a Clay Nation for, what was it, 30, 40 ADA, 60 ADA, and then boom, all of a sudden, 40, and all of a sudden, what if it's a duck? What if it's a blue and it's worth like 3, 4, 5, 8K? And they don't really have that ADA. That equity is locked up in that NFT. So we're giving people the opportunity to say, hey, yeah, DAOs are a form of long-term gain. But hey, if you have an NFT that you want to take the equity out of, that's another service that we offer, and people are doing that. So I think that DAOs that are going to really succeed are DAOs that kind of apply to everyone's best interests in the short term and the long term.
And I think, again, it's and then what type of DAO? Because say, for example, we partner, my belief, and especially with CNFT, is we try to partner with as many projects as possible. This space needs to grow. If you compare our stats, like it's brutal in comparison to like an OpenSea, which is obvious because they've been around forever, but we have some room to grow.
Yeah, we're less than 1% of the whole space. Cardano.
Yeah,
less than 1%.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone, we are actually running out of time. I feel like we could have gone another couple of hours. I didn't really get to ask you, Dave, about what you're working on with the multi-sig development. Like, guys, you should be in the Derpers Discord, follow what they're doing, because I'm really liking what they're doing there. Also, Secret Goat Society, like the mint experience was really good. So a lot of things that we didn't get to cover, but I really enjoyed the discussion. And is there anything that you want to, like, as we wrap it up, is there anything that you want to kind of say? Let's say that somebody's listening who is relatively new in the CNFT space. Any advice or any message that you want to leave us with? The last things you want to mention before we call it a stream.
I have a selfish thing I'd like to say. I'm not anti-DAO or anything. I'm not trying to attack people. I just trying to ask basic questions that a lot of people had, and just basic understandings, that some people don't get, or I just wanted some clarity. But I'm pro every project on the space growing or space is small.
Yep.
And no hard feelings if I'm a little mean.
No, I asked Travis on here with that particular purpose in mind because I wanted an interesting discussion with opposing views. So he filled that role perfectly, and he's a great guy. Anybody else?
So yes, I say thanks because that is the point. That is the point, that we want to be transparent about what we're doing, knowing that how much trust we're really asking of everyone. Joining a DAO, which isn't a DAO, or we don't have the technology for any of these projects to call it a DAO just yet. But we all want to go down that path. So appreciate all your questions about that.
Cool.
All right.
It was fun.
Yeah, this has been great.
Thor, you should have called yourself the Thor Rogan experience, and then we could have gone for 4 or 5 hours.
Thor Rogan experience. I like
Maybe
it.
next time. Maybe next year. Because I'm hoping to have these once a year. And next year we can actually review the previous year of DAOs on Cardano, see how far we've come. Hopefully, it's a long way. That's what I'm hoping and expecting.
Hopefully, we're not all poor.
When is the next roundtable? We had the 2021 look back. It was a ton of fun. A lot of people enjoyed it. It's been too long. I mean, I guess it's been about 2 months, but I hope you're looking to schedule more roundtables.
I actually am. I want to, I really enjoy these. I'm hoping you guys do too, because I think having this sort of conversation is, I don't know, it's good for the space. And so, I want to create another kind of quarterly roundtable looking back at the first part of 2022 pretty soon. And obviously King Dave will get an invite.
Nice, I'll be here.
All right, that's it for the DAO Roundtable. Congrats to the Plague Overseer for winning the bid, and for everyone here, to the panel for being here. Ape Society, Secret... Did I say that right? Yeah. Sometimes I don't know what I'm saying. Secret Goat Society, Derps, King Dave, Acronym DAO, Travis, ADAO, and then RatsDAO. I think I got them all. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.